Dad jokes are a real thing. Did anyone else read this? It's a real thing, and and dads make stupid jokes that make other people in the family groan. It's like, oh, but it's actually some sort of like social bonding mechanism, and it's also a way for everybody to understand that the dad is not threatening, and that we're all okay. And I make jokes which I think are actually quite funny and sophisticated. And my kids, in response now, have what they think is also quite funny and sophisticated, a response to my dad jokes. They say, "That's a real dad slapper," and then slap me in the face. So I'm getting a very negative reinforcement about my dad jokes, and it's causing me to be more and more serious at home. Because if I make a dad joke, I get slapped in the face. It's not just a chuckle, but it's like, you know, honestly, it's a domestic violence situation with my 9-year-old. Mason is particularly keen on the dad slapper. I don't know why I just told you that. It's, I guess, a cry for help. I keep telling the kids that I'm going to call Child Protective Services and get them to protect me from my children. Which the kids they're starting to fear that will come true. I am shooting a new show, which hopefully will become a series. Right now it's just a pilot, but what I have seen on set so far gives me hope that it will become a series, because I think that it's quite good so far, especially the stuff with Harvey Dent in it. That's the character that I'm playing. It's cool. It's kind of an epic show. It's just big. We have a lot of like, you know, about 100 background actors on a given day. On Supernatural, I think we peaked out at 4 background actors. But it'll be interesting. It's here we are. We're doing these ostensibly Supernatural conventions, yes, but now all of the actors have moved on to do other things because they don't have any loyalty. And it will be curious to see how this polyamorous dynamic plays out with you all. Will you be willing to keep us on if we are also seeing other shows?
As long as the sex stays good.
Someone in the front row just said, as long as the sex stays good.
Nice, Krista. Nice.
Well, on that note, hi.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
How are you?
I have a question for you.
Great.
I have a Castiel tattoo because he means a lot to me. So, if Cass had to get a tattoo for another character from the show, who would the person be, and what would the tattoo be?
I think Cass would probably likely get a grumpy cat tattoo. And on his face. What's your Cass tat?
You've seen it on text. It's you. As Cass from The Man Who Would Be King.
Oh, on the bench, yeah, that's
with your
nice.
handwriting underneath it, which I had to edit together.
Oh, that's very lovely. That's really nice. Why is Castiel important to you? I mean, you have a tattoo.
Well, when I get tattoos, it means I had a lot of money and no one stopped me.
It's not a sign of emotional attachment to the character. It is just perspicuous consumption. It's me trying to show the world just how rich I am.
I'm not rich. But, I see myself a lot in him, and when I was watching the show, it's like he came in and I was like, oh, it just got real. And the show had never been the same since.
Well, that's amazing. I love your tattoo. Yeah. Cool. My mind is going places where it shouldn't, so I'm just going to let it go. Thank you very much. I would love to hear the next woman's question here. Hi.
Hi there. Hi, Misha. I'm Jody.
Hi, Jody.
So, I'm so excited about you being cast as Harvey Dent. Love the Batman series, of course. In general.
Great.
I was hoping to find out which is your favorite version of the Joker, and who's your favorite villain besides Two-Face?
Well, the Dark Knight Joker is kind of hard to. That's some excellent jokering. Tommy Lee Jones is really was one of my favorite actors. And then in boning up for the Harvey Dent role, I saw his version of Two-Face in a Batman movie, Batman Forever. And he is no longer my favorite actor. Please don't tell Tommy Lee Jones that I said this, but he was fucking terrible. That whole movie was basically a terrible fiasco. Does anyone disagree with me? No. Wow, it's so rare to have that kind of consensus. We should relish this moment. That's really special. It's actually kind of cool to think about. That movie brought everybody together. Right? We can all agree that it was horrible. And they had some really great actors in there, and they managed to get terrible performances out of almost everybody, which is impressive, I think. Are we seeing eye to eye?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good. Because that would be super awkward if you were like, actually, no, that's my favorite movie.
While Tommy Lee Jones's version was not so good, Aaron Eckhart in the Dark Knight series was fabulous.
I thought he did a great job as well. Yeah. Great. I'll be honest with you. I plan to have the definitive Harvey Dent, but you know. I mean, the cool thing about this particular version of it is that we're going to have a lot of time with that character, hopefully, which we'll have an opportunity. You know, these movies play out the entire arc of the character in a couple of hours, but I'll try to drag that on interminably. Great. Oh, I'm supposed to switch sides. Oh, wow, that was a dick move, huh? Sorry. I would have kept going too. I just happened to see you. Hi. It's just because you're wearing a light-colored mask. Otherwise, I would have missed you.
When you're right in.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Regina. First of all, your poetry book is fucking amazing. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
It's amazing, and I really enjoyed it. My question is
We'll beep that out before this gets broadcast.
I don't know. Martyr made me cry every time I read it. So.
Okay.
My question to you is: everybody asks you kind of the same kind of questions. Is there anything that you wish people would ask you about? Any topic or production or anything that you wanted to talk about but nobody's ever asked you about before?
Well, I can tell you one question that I have gotten a number of times. It's that question. And it's one of my least favorite. So that's kind of amazing. Yeah, I think that it's a cop-out for the question asker. Because it's basically like saying, I don't have a question for you, but will you ask yourself a question? Will you conduct an interview for us with yourself? That's what the question sort of amounts to. Is this starting to feel hostile? What's happening? We're good? What is a question that you've always wished that you had asked yourself?
A question I would ask myself.
Yeah, see what happens to your own brain when you're confronted with that question? I know. Do you think that we're not touching the microphone? Is that what's happening? Oh. It seems quite inefficient. How about this?
I have another question.
Okay, give me a follow-up question then.
The question I was originally going to ask is, what is your favorite poem?
My favorite poem? Oh, well, there's a poem.
Boring.
What?
It's a boring question.
It's not a boring question. It's a good question. But I prefer the first question though. There's a poem that I quite love called Wild Geese. It's quite excellent. It's by Mary Oliver, and it features some geese. It is, I think, quite uplifting. It ends with, what will you do with this one wild and precious life? Which I think is a nice question, a nice cliffhanger to leave the reader with. And there are some other poems that I quite like, though. I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite poem. How about you?
I like John Donne. I like it. It's called A Passionate Shepherd to His Love. I like that one.
Excellent. I'm going to read that on my phone when we get off the stage. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Misha. I'm Hope.
Hi.
Me and my 3 friends, Kim and Jess, we all hail from your home state of Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yes. I work in Lowell. Kim is from Chelmsford, and Jess is from Westford. They would have killed me if I'd forgotten.
Chelmsford and Lowell I went to preschool.
Yes, we think you went to preschool with my friend Kim.
In Lowell.
In Lowell.
Yeah? Well, how old is Kim?
She's about your age. So we were doing the math, yeah.
Like about my age or actually my
She's
age?
not with me. She's here, but she's not standing next to me to correct me as to actually what age she
Okay.
is. Sorry.
So, how old are you? Okay, so we went to preschool together, huh? So Lowell, Massachusetts, when I was going to preschool, was a real shithole.
It's better now.
Is it? It had, if I'm not mistaken, the highest per capita the highest portion of the population on public assistance in the country was in Lowell. Basically everybody was on welfare, and the free public preschool that I went to. What was yours like? Was it free? Was it public? You don't remember? How are we going to figure out if we went to preschool together? So, at the preschool that I went to, they had kids, if we didn't cooperate, God, I remember it so vividly. We had cots for nap time, I remember, and if you didn't behave, the teachers would make you lie on your cot and then sit on you. And we had lockers. And the other punishment we would get is they would shut us in our lockers. So they're putting these like 4-year-olds, shutting the door and like locking them into our own lockers if we spoke out of turn or did the wrong thing. But it was free and it was public, so it was great. You know? But that was my first experience with school. So it sort of hardwired me to really love school.
My question sounds really dull after that.
Yeah.
Well, we loved road food, and we were wondering if there was some place in Massachusetts that is still there that you would suggest or would love to have done that we could go visit.
I pitched of what I thought to the producers was a very good idea for a road food pit stop, which was when I was 11. We lived for about 5 months in a tent in the woods next to this dairy farm. And me and my younger brother, who was 9 at the time, went to the dairy farm and said, hey, can we have a job here? And they did not want 2 children actually working on their farm. There wasn't anything that we could actually contribute. But the farmer was so awesome. And so we spent the summer at this farm learning how to milk cows and like riding on his lap while he was mowing hay and then baling hay and stacking it in the barn. And we thought we were farmers. And it was like the best version of summer camp you could possibly imagine. We were just getting our hands dirty and learning about farming. And this guy was basically babysitting these 2 homeless kids that were living in the woods next door, but made us feel like we were just helping him on the farm. And about 3 years ago, I was back home and I drove up to that farmhouse and I knocked on the door and I was like, hey. And this old man comes out, who was the farmer, who I hadn't seen in 30 years, 35 years, I don't know, whatever, 35 years. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember, but there were 2 kids that were living in the woods here, and you took us under your wing, and let us, come work on your farm all summer. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember those boys. And I just said, well, that was me, and I just want to say thank you. So, I would have loved to have, because the dairy farm, I thought it would be really cool to go there and like start an episode with that, because there's also all of these local creameries in Western Massachusetts. So like ice cream in New England is a big thing. Ben & Jerry's is from New England. And so I thought it'd be cool to like follow from like a small family dairy farm through to a creamery and do that. And maybe someday we will. Who knows? Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Liz.
Hi, Liz.
I think you're great, but my daughter adores you.
So there's a hierarchy there?
Yeah.
Where's your daughter? Is your daughter a toddler?
No, she's 16. I was just wondering, what would you tell younger people who deal with anxiety to take care of their mental health?